This is the Soul Podcast. Do you know podcasting? I'm King Sejong, reminding you that Korean fried chicken is healthy because it's Korean. And here are your hosts, Emma Kalka and Joe McPherson.
And welcome to the Soul Podcast. This is Joe.
And I'm Emma.
I am speaking in my stereotype French accent, so you say. I don't know why.
Why? Why is this happening?
I think I know why. Is at work today, our creative director, who is from Belgium, and we interviewed a really dynamite engineer from Algeria.
Mm-hmm.
French speakers. They were just sitting there talking in French. I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, ennui."
No idea what's being said, but I agree.
I had a great day today. My company still has no funding, but it's doing great. Because we got I honestly think we had the most dynamic, diverse, and talented team in all of Korea. We've got the Avengers. I mean, people who are really the best in every single field put together. And Korean VCs and the Korean government will not recognize that. Such a diverse team. I can't a good mix of men and women of different nationalities, different ages. Such a good mix, and I'm so proud of our team. But we're close. We're close to getting funding. We're actually meeting with heads of not the heads, but the upper echelons of chaebols. We get contracts from them.
That's good.
So good. Feeling positive today, and the interview today was like just so cool. We have such a fun team. Anyway, how's your week been, Emma?
Good. Not too bad. Today was good, mostly because it's Friday.
Yeah, we record on Fridays, and we also stream live. We stream live on YouTube, usually starting around 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 on Fridays. We will notify you if we change it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been great. Oh, excuse me. Oh man, I was trying to mute myself when I did that.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a fail. A bit of a fail.
Anyway, we had such a fun time last week with Emma, who is now my new like up and coming best friend after last week's show, because I love her band.
You mean Annie?
Did I say Anna? Annie?
You said Emma, and I'm like,
I thought I said Anna. Annie.
Yeah,
I don't even know my new and upcoming best friend's name. I'm so bad.
I
Anyway,
hope she doesn't see this. If she sees this, she might not be happy.
She's not gonna like me. She might be looking at us now. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. Everyone, how's your week been? Okay, Seoul. Yeah. What a place. What a place.
Oh, what a place.
What a place.
There are things change on a dime.
Yeah. So what has changed? Because Emma, we must remind you, works in the news industry, so you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening.
I
in
know
things.
I know.
You know things before they happen.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you do. Sometimes. You and Ron Chang know things before they happen. That's why it's like I don't even need to subscribe to any news website, news blog, because all I gotta do is follow Emma and Ron on Facebook, and they announce what's happening before it happens.
You're set. You get it. You get everything just from us.
I need to pull Ron on the show sometime. He'd be great.
We should have Ron. I haven't talked to Ron in forever. I used to work at the same company as Ron.
I run into him because we work in the same neighborhood. So, yeah, I run into him just on the street every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ron Chang is people don't know, Ron Chang is the legend. He's been working behind the scenes in English language Korean media for 15 years, I think, and he's the guy behind everything. He knows everyone. He'll hook you up with everyone. He just knows everything. He's rarely, but now they're starting to put him in front of the camera, and he seems to hate it. He's always been the guy behind the scenes.
I would suppose if it's something that you're not used to, it could be a little like uncomfortable. I don't like being in front of the camera, and that's because I'm never in front of the camera. Radio is different because radio, it's just my voice, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But and this is a little different, like, you know,
because we only have one listener. That's great.
Setting, so
only one person watching.
Sean's watching.
Sean's watching. Sean, don't you have a class to teach? Speaking of which, this has been fun this week. This has been my embarrassing story this week. Was contacted by KBS to do some cooking show where they teach foreigners how to cook Korean foods. And I picked up the phone last week, and the conversation was in Korean, and I held my own for a good 15 minutes in this conversation in Korean. Very, very. I mean, I've talked at lengths in the past about my struggles with learning the language for the 17 years. I've tried, and I still talk like a 2-year-old. So we scheduled a meeting this past week, and I went into the production company's building, which is right across the street from my office. Went up there, and they mic'd me, and they filmed me being interviewed in Korean. And when we were talking about food, I was able to BS my way through and make it sound like I knew what I was talking about in Korean. Then they asked me what otherwise would be simple questions, and I froze, and my face was so red.
Oh no.
And it was such a struggle. I mean, they told me ahead of time I didn't need to speak Korean, but obviously I needed to speak Korean. They told me, "Oh, speak English, just speak slowly," but no. And I could, the woman interviewing me, I could see the judgment in her eyes, and I could hear the judgment in her voice. And it got to the point of, "Why don't you know Korean? You've been here 17 years." I just felt so much shame. So they were asking me questions about what we do at home, about my family and such, like how I learned to cook Korean food for my wife or whatever. I never learned cook Korean food for my wife. She learned to cook for me. So they're asking about my daughter, and I said, "Oh yeah, she's in 5th grade and she's fun." And they ask, "Oh, does she speak English and Korean?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, which one's better?" And I go, "Oh, by far her Korean, but she also speaks good English." And they said, "Do you have a picture of her?" And I scroll through my thing, and I'm going through all pictures of food. I'm trying to skip over because I've also been trying to lose weight lately, so I've been taking daily pictures of my naked stomach.
It's like.
So flipping through that, and I found a picture of Gian, and I showed that to her, and they go, "Oh," and they start flipping through again to try to find more pictures of her. I'm like, no, stop looking at my naked stomach. And they're like, "Oh, is she shy?" And I was like, well, kind of, but not really. Like, she starts off shy. I didn't know how to say that in Korean, so I was like, "Let me show you her TikTok account."
It's like, this will explain everything.
And this will explain everything because my daughter is a jokester on TikTok. And they saw her doing some weird Ajashi impression, and TikTok had put a little beard on her, and she was doing this thing, and they were all laughing, and they took my phone and they were holding it up to the camera to show what Gian was doing, and they said, "Gianni, 전화번호 괜찮아요?" What? You want her phone number? okay, I'll have to. And I said,
just lost your job.
I said, I'll have to ask her. So we finished the meeting, and she's like, the interviewer's like, you need to study Korean. I'm like, I know. As I'm leaving, I see another foreigner going in, and I hear him speaking fluent Korean, and I'm like, I'm just 3 centimeters high at that point. I'm feeling so small and humiliated at that point. I call my daughter and tell her what happened. And I'm like, is it okay if I give them your phone number? She goes like, sure. So they tried to call her while she was in class yesterday, and she didn't pick up. So I texted them since she was in class. So I said, could you call later? And we agreed around like 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock that night. So they called while we were out taking a walk, and we sat down on a park bench, and Jian has this lively, hilarious conversation with the writer. She's just totally lit up, turned on, like she even does like gag show impressions and stuff. I don't know what was going on with this conversation. I wanted to video this conversation because I was never. It's one of those proud dad moments. It's like, wow, did I produce this? What have I created? She's just on fire. And yeah, so they finished the call, and then they texted me, and then they said like, oh yeah, we'll decide on we'll make a decision later. I really still don't know if they're going to take us or not, but I think they were saying stuff like, is it okay if we make fun of your dad and put like a poop on his face or something like that? And Jen says like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm fine with that.
That's exactly what I would assume that she would say. Like,
yeah, she's fine. I'm fine with that.
The interactions that I've had with Tia, I'm like, yeah, she'd probably say yes in a heartbeat.
She'd say yes to that, and I'm fine with that too. I mean, for me, if she ends up being on the show, then my focus is all on making her look good at my expense. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with being the silly dumb dad Homer Simpson clown if it makes her look good. Mm-hmm. Oh, on top of that, and then another thing was I do every 2 weeks I do a segment on TBS EFM talking about food at 9:30 on every other Monday, which my next one is this Monday on May the 3rd. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, since Children's Day is that week, why don't we talk about children's foods that kids like? And so I was joking, and they're like, what kind of food? And I'm like, well, whatever food my daughter likes. And so they started asking, kids food? Yeah, that's kids' food. And they're like, well, would you be interested in being on the show? I'll ask her. So
she's gonna steal all of your jobs.
She's going to be on the radio Monday.
Oh, how does she feel about that? I bet she's
excited. She's excited, but we got to sit down and I have to teach her. We got to come up with a plan first, because I've done this with her before on different YouTube projects I've done and Dark Side of Soul podcast. As I try to get her to speak, and she just clams up. We'll see. But I'm not doing this as someone like trying to get my kid famous or trying to be like a stage dad or anything like that. I'm doing this because I want her to have an experience. I want her to have some memories. I want her to have some fun. Mm-hmm. And if we do it, fine. If we don't do it, that's fine too. I want her to have some memories, and that's what I want.
I'm sure it'll be great, and she'll love it. I'm going to listen.
These are opportunities I never had as a kid. I would have loved as a kid.
Oh my gosh. If you put me on the radio when I was a kid, I would not have shut up, and I probably would have talked nonstop the entire however long I was supposed to.
I hope
they would have to turn off my mic to get me off. Like I hope
she does, man.
I was such a little attention person when I was younger. Like I think there's home videos somewhere of me like literally shoving my baby sister out of the way because I thought I wanted to be on camera again.
So you were my sister, because my sister was the attention hog, and she was always pushing me in the back, and she was my little sister when she was pushing me back. Yeah. So she was always on the TV and the radio, and I never got to do anything. She always had her photo in the newspaper.
Oh yeah, that was me. But I mean, I think my sister was okay with it. She's always been a lot quieter than me and never really kind of wanted to be out there. And then I'm the one who's like getting on the high school newspaper when I'm in high school and being in every single club possible and getting interviewed by the Daily Oklahoman for one of the clubs that I helped that I was in and doing all of that. And,
that's cool.
You know, I was in drama club and I was in the marching band for like a year. I was too.
And that's one thing that made me a little jealous was in 1988, I think it was 88. We all auditioned for the local children's theater production of The Little Mermaid. Mm-hmm. And I actually got a speaking role as one of the kings, the kings of I was the father of the prince of the equivalent of Prince Eric, but it was different names in this.
Yeah.
This is before Disney's Little Mermaid came out. Mm-hmm. And so I was the youngest person with a speaking role playing the oldest character in the play, basically. I mean, the one person who played my wife was a 45-year-old woman, and here I am. I'm 12 years old.
Did they give you a beard?
That's one of the few roles I had. I did not have a beard, but they put wrinkles on my face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, actually, yes, I got like a role, and you know but it was my sister and brother that got their photos in the newspaper. For being a seagull and a seahorse.
I will say, actually, because my sister was she's a way better singer than I am.
Yeah.
So anything singing wise, that was all her. So at church, if we were both in choir, if there was a solo up, it would usually go to my sister. Except for the one time we did a Christmas play and I got the lead.
Ooh, I've never gotten the lead in anything. I've always been the character parts. Always. I've always been the character. But my favorite character part was I was the voice of Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors.
Woo! Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
That was fun because I didn't have to wear makeup or anything. I was backstage with the band and that was really fun. That was super. That was the funnest role I ever had.
I feel like you also wouldn't necessarily have to memorize your lines anyway because you're backstage, so you have like the script. You could just follow along.
It works better. And my friend Matt was puppeteering the plant, which was gorgeous. The plant was the puppets were so well done, and so we would coordinate. We'd work together on that, and that was just so much fun. This
makes me really sad that. This makes me so sad that Into the Woods didn't happen. I don't know if it is going to happen because of COVID.
Into the Woods.
I was cast as.
All I know is Into the Woods.
Into the woods to find the thing. Da 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 da. Yeah.
Have you heard the Forbidden Broadway version of this? That's the one I know the best.
No.
Yeah, they make fun of. Okay, I'm boring everyone. They make fun of Stephen Sondheim, how he always hides. He's such a wordsmith that it just takes precedence over everything else, over character development and everything. So it's called Into the Words.
I have to see this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Look it up on YouTube. They do have it. Into the Words.
Yeah, I was going to be one of the one of Cinderella's stepsisters. I always cast as Lucinda. In I think it was Soul Players? No.
I love Sondheim.
Camerata. Sorry. It was Camerata. Sorry. I'm just getting all my groups mixed up right now.
Camerata.
Camerata was going to do Into the Woods last year for their big musical, and then COVID happened and things didn't happen. And now like half the cast has left Korea. But if they're going to do it again, like this spring, which I don't think they're going to because
if Ryan's listening COVID. Or anyone from Soul Players is listening, my dream role is before I die is I want to be Sweeney Todd. My dream role is Sweeney Todd.
We should do like a virtual show or something where just get like a bunch of people together and like don't do the entire show, but you could sing some of the songs from the show because you could do that virtually.
I totally could do that. I would love to do that.
I would do that. I wouldn't. I'm a volunteer's tribute.
Volunteer's tribute. Mixing our medias right there. Hey, Now that we bored everyone and chased everyone off, let's talk about Seoul.
Yeah, let's talk about Seoul. I mean,
let's talk about Korea. Not talk about our pathetic acting careers.
Yeah, well, that last part was technically Seoul related because it was in Seoul. It was Camerata.
It's Camerata, and we should promote. We should invite. We should
get Ryan on.
Yeah, Ryan. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying Playground Brewery.
He would like that. I'm sure he would say yes.
I'd love to have
talk about musical theater in Seoul.
Nerd out over musicals.
Hades Town is coming. It's going to be in Korean, so I'm not as excited.
Hades Town. That was the big one. I'm not familiar. I have not listened to the music of that yet, but I hear that's a big
love
one.
it. It's one of my favorites. Okay, I swear anybody who's watching this our last nerd out thing, and we're going to go to the news. But it was the big musical, but it's going to be a Korean version, I believe. So
I don't care. I mean, I still do it. I mean, I've been meaning to go. I want to introduce my daughter to live theater, so I want to take her to some of these plays when they come out. And if they're in Korean, that's fine. Of course, I'm not at this age. I'm not going to take her to see Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Probably not a good idea. Not yet.
Koreans love Hedwig for some reason.
I think they do it every year. But anyway, I'll get the details when it comes. Let's all go. I want to be there. I'll probably be like,
oh my God.
I will be like,
why are you leaving now? Because now I have a musical theater buddy. I had no one to go to the theater with.
We can try it. Well, we can try and hit up some shows before I leave.
All right.
We still need to
write our musical too.
Yeah, we got to write our musical too. We've got almost a year. There's time.
Okay.
And especially because vaccines are making a they're
COVID-19 the musical. Oh my goodness.
Oh no. Oh no. Is that gonna be
Hey, Captain Mo.
Oh goodness.
I said head. I'm sorry, I'm just catching up with what the chat room is saying.
COVID-19 the musical. Oh. It's an idea. It could be a comedy. It'll be a tragic comedy. Comedy tragedy. I don't know.
The musical like brain stabbed my heart.
Oh, good Lord. I'm giving you the opening number.
Oh my God. It starts with 1 and then it spreads and gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
We should not.
It turns into this giant chorus line of people who've been affected.
Oh Lord, that's not funny. It's not funny. COVID-19 is
hilarious.
Not funny.
Well, anyway. It's like I'm just going to church, not washing my hands.
I mean, it writes itself. But anyway.
Oh, what's that? I gotta.
We are not writing a musical about COVID-19. I'm putting my foot down. We're not writing a musical about
in
COVID-19.
Korea. COVID-19 in Korea.
We're not writing a musical about COVID-19 in Korea.
Oh. You are a foreigner. You get no mask.
Now I'm drawing parallels between that and Urinetown, where you have to pay to pee. Vaccines.
Okay.
So vaccines. Vaccines are happening.
This is Act 2 is vaccines.
Act 2 is vaccines. They've released the latest numbers, and they've actually vaccinated over 3 million people now, which is about
5%.
almost 5% of the population, and they did that in 2 months. They started vaccinating the Olympic athletes and staff going to Tokyo.
Oh, okay, because we are having Olympics this year.
Yeah, we are having Olympics. I believe it's in June.
Are they taking their anti-radiation medication?
I don't think they're doing that because I guess they figured Tokyo's far enough away from Fukushima. But So they started that. President Moon just got his second dose today because he's going to the U.S. at the end of next month for a little summit with Joe Biden in the White House.
Okay.
So he had to get vaccinated for that. But they actually announced today that fully vaccinated people, but these are people who got vaccinated in South Korea. And it's not just Korean citizens, it's anybody who got vaccinated in South Korea. They will be exempt from quarantine once they're fully vaccinated. I think it goes into effect 2 weeks after the second dose, because by that time, that's when the antibodies are all like set. So yeah, if you come into contact with somebody, if you go overseas and come back, you don't have to go into 2 weeks of self-quarantine. You just have to do monitoring, which is basically you send like a message to some health authority once a day saying like, hey, I feel good. I've got no symptoms.
Okay.
They decided that today. They're still trying to decide what to do with people who didn't get vaccinated in Korea but come to Korea.
But who are vaccinated outside of Korea. I'm really waiting for that because the entire effing tourism industry is waiting for this decision.
Yes, they are. And everybody else is like flipping ahead of us in vaccines.
Yes.
So
what? Again, Korea not paying attention to what's happening outside of Korea. What?
Yeah, but they're talking about doing it based on kind of like reciprocity. So like whatever that country's gonna do about people coming in from South Korea, they'll do the same. So for example, if like the US is like, hey, if you're coming from South Korea and you've been vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine or do this, and that, Korea will be like, all right, cool, samesies.
They sort of been doing that anyway beforehand.
They've been doing
yeah.
But I mean, but the thing is like anybody who comes into South Korea from anywhere, regardless of vaccination at the moment, has to go into self-quarantine.
Yeah.
Because very, very few people in Korea have had both doses. So that 3 million vaccinated, that's actually 3 million people who have received at least the first dose. This is not completely vaccinated. This is 3 million people who have just gotten the first dose. I think maybe because they didn't start vaccinating people until February 26th.
Right.
And then especially with AstraZeneca, they bumped the interval to like 8 to 12 weeks. Or no, I think it's like
really? Because they're trying to space it out because they're trying to get as many people as they can with the first dose. So
right. And because they're going to be getting more vaccines coming in starting in May next month, I believe. So May, June, and July, I think is when like the glut of the vaccines are going to start coming in, because that's when Janssen is going to come in and will start being used. They're going to get more Pfizer. They're getting more AstraZeneca. I'm seriously hope Novavax. They've got to deal with Novavax. I think they're currently in the approval process for Novavax.
Okay.
And they're going to get a bunch of those over the summer. So they say that they're still on course to have at least 70% of the population have by September will have both doses. Or all the doses that they need to be fully vaccinated, and which would mean that they would have herd immunity by November.
Now,
that's the big goal. They want to have herd immunity by November. In order to do that, everybody has to have all the doses by September, or 70% of the population.
Okay.
So they say that they're currently on, they're set on the right track for that to happen. Let's hope we don't have any other kind of setbacks, because, they stopped AstraZeneca, then they started AstraZeneca, then they decided if you're 30,
it was
you
an
can't
honest
get
precaution.
AstraZeneca.
If they didn't stop it, there would have been a lot of political blowback. How much you want to bet?
I'm not saying it was a bad I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying there have been setbacks. There could, if there any other issues pop up with vaccines, they'll have to pause it. As long as there's not a lot of those coming up in the future, which are again completely out of like the government's control. Like they can't make a vaccine work. Not their problem. They didn't create the vaccine.
But this is what I want to. This is the time to place your bets. I've been going by the adage that Korea's not good at strategy, but great at tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't plan ahead, but really good at fixing things once they start.
Right.
I'm going to predict that Korea will make it. I'm going to predict that the engines will go into full overdrive.
Right. I would go as
it.
far to say as they hit that 70% before September.
Yeah. Especially if they show BTS getting it done.
Yeah, if they show,
all you got to do is show influencers. You got to say UJ Suck. Put UJ Suck on live TV getting his vaccination.
Oh, everybody will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hands down, everybody will be vaccinated in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt about that. It's just, it's taking a little bit of time to get into it, but now that we're into it, I think it's going to happen very quickly. They've already jumped up their vaccine schedule. People groups that they were supposed to get vaccinated in May and June are getting already getting vaccinated.
We're already starting to get to know people who are getting vaccinated right now.
Yeah,
so that's
so
good.
We're getting there.
And
I think it's now that it's like really getting into it, they're catching steam. I would say within the next 2 months, we're going to see a bunch of people getting vaccinated.
Yeah, this will be the summer of jabs.
Mm-hmm. Well, and especially since they're going to start, I mean, like I said, Janssen's already been approved and they're just waiting on the shots to get here. And Janssen's the 1-dose vaccine.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Give me that one.
I'm fine. I'm like, hey, I'm over 30, so I won't get the brain clots. Just, give me Janssen. I will volunteer to take Janssen and I will volunteer for AstraZeneca. I would prefer Moderna. If I get a choice, I want Moderna.
Yeah.
But I will take whatever you give me. But probably not Sputnik.
And Sputnik scares me.
The Sputnik scares me.
Well, Novavax is Chinese, right? No,
I think that's American.
That's American. Oh, what was the Chinese? The Chinese one was. I
don't know. They haven't. They're not. They're not having discussions on the Chinese vaccine.
No. China.
They've only They've only just kind of like tossed out like, hey, let's maybe talk about Sputnik. They haven't actually started discussions on it yet, so we'll see.
Okay.
But vaccines are happening. People are getting vaccinated. This is good.
Good news.
Ball is rolling. And they actually, because of this, they're talking about, they will be changing the social distancing scheme. They're going to be changing that in June. Yeah. They're going to switch to a new system. I think it's the one that we discussed, that they brought up, I think last month. Yeah. That they were discussing. They needed to finalize the details, but it's just like level 1, 2, 3, 4. Or is it 1, 2?
We got to learn a whole new system again.
Yeah, but I think they're going to set it up based on the premise that over the summer, a lot of people are going to be getting vaccinated. So they'll be able to ease up a bit on social distancing, just because a good number of people will be vaccinated and getting vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And today they announced that they're keeping the same levels for 3 more weeks. So Seoul is still under level 2 and everywhere else is still under 1.5. Gatherings of 5 or more people are still banned. Places gotta, no more dining, still no dining in after 10 p.m. Yeah. Norebangs and
we're all used to this. We're all used to all that have to close at 10. Honsul, of drinking by yourself, and we now have a whole new industry set up around drinking by yourself, where you can
we can't go out and drink with anybody.
You can order alcohol and pick it up at your local convenience store. Yep. Which I finally went through the Jedi barriers and getting my app to work to order the alcohol from GS25. I still don't know if it'll work, but I just wanted to go in and see what was available. There's some decent single malt scotches available. You can pick up at the convenience store if you order it online. Some decent stuff and some bourbon, some really nice small batch bourbons and some small batch Irish whiskey. Didn't know that existed.
I still like my wine deliveries because then I don't have to go anywhere. It comes to me.
Yeah, and now I want to track down some like artisanal Korean Seoul, like some of my favorite makgeollis and takjus and stuff. I would love to have that delivered because where I live, it's hard to get any quality makgeolli. Now that I've become a makgeolli snob, thanks to Julian Miller.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to things to start edging back to somewhat normal. I miss my drag shows.
I'm scared.
I miss my drag shows. I miss concerts. I miss events. I miss seeing people.
I don't know what to do about that. I think I've lost. I guess to do. If I'm going to go back to doing tours again, I'm scared. I'm like food tours. I haven't done a food tour in almost a year. You know what? We're about to hit the 1 year anniversary of the big Itaewon outbreak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that all happened because of it was Children's Day and Buddha's birthday.
Yeah,
Children's Day because we had a 3-day weekend because of Children's Day.
Yeah,
and that's when that happened.
Yeah,
I not gonna happen this year.
we already have larger numbers now than we did during that outbreak.
That's very true. Yeah, I think our daily numbers are a lot higher right now, or have been higher for like the last 5 months than they were. Someone
posted on one of the COVID groups the numbers from a year ago today. It was +4. We almost had it nipped in the bud.
We were so close.
We were so worried about the bigger number was from people arriving at the airport. Remember when that was
I remember that
number?
They were focused. That's when they were just like, okay, now all we got to do is focus on all these cases coming in from overseas, which weren't going anywhere because the people were going straight into quarantine from the airport. And they were getting caught with it in quarantine.
Korean so they nationals were trying to get through it though, because some of the ones that were breaking the rules were the Korean nationals, like some.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
Going out and thinking like, oh, me going to the grocery store isn't really breaking quarantine. Oh no! What was that one guy that went out drinking? The one I just seen went out drinking. Yeah.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and now it's just like because we've been stuck in this kind of purgatory for like the last few months where our cases just will not go below 300 no matter what. And well, I think we might have, I don't know, I don't have my calendar with me, we might have had a few days where we went like it may be in the 200s, but
I think no one knows where the outbreaks are happening either, so we don't know what to avoid,
right. Well, and yeah, and also about 30% of cases are untraceable.
Yeah, and we're beyond.
So
that's
not a very comforting rate when 30% of people, or about 30% of people who are getting COVID, honestly don't know where they got it from because they're like, I didn't come in contact with anybody who had tested positive. Nobody around me was showing symptoms. I went to work, I went home, and there's like, I don't know. And so contact tracing has gotten a lot harder now because people just legitimately don't know where, well, some people probably do. And they're just like, I don't know where it came from because they don't want to say where they went.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's probably some people like that, but I do think a majority of people are just honestly don't know where they got it from. They're like,
I'm already hearing about Oh Se-hoon's famous self-testing kits.
Yeah, they're actually available in pharmacies now.
Oh, God.
You can get a self-testing COVID-19 kit, which will give you results within 15 to 20 minutes. However, they did say it's not anywhere close to as reliable as the PCR test.
And you still need to stick a swab up to your brain.
Yeah, I think I don't think all of them, because there's a few different ones that are available, and I don't think all of them are the stick to the brain test. Those ones, they're definitely kind of like, those results are probably not going to be super reliable because people are going to be too afraid.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Put a stick up their nose, and they're not going to get enough.
Yeah.
Specimen. There we go. Specimen. To test accurately.
Yeah.
So they do kind of say, like, be careful, if just because it comes back negative, it might not actually be negative.
Oh my God, I'm checking out the notes again. There's a yogurt that prevents COVID-19 or claims to prevent COVID-19. This is hilarious.
What
gets me is what? There wasn't a brand of kimchi that beat them to it? Because kimchi is supposed to cure COVID-19. Kimchi cures everything.
Yeah, it was Namyang Dairy Company made this claim that this one type of yogurt that they have would prevent COVID-19, and they sent out this press release, and they're like, we did these tests, and this is what it said, and then they announced it at a symposium, and the Ministry of Drug and Food Safety is like, huh? And so they filed a complaint with the police, but get this. They didn't file a complaint because they were like, oh, your data's wrong or we don't believe you. They filed a complaint because they're like, oh, you're promoting a product and you weren't publishing this for like academic purposes. That's why the police are after
maybe because it wasn't a law preventing them from, they couldn't nail on the other one. Oh, no, man. They're trying to come.
But I mean, honestly, not a lot of people actually, well, I don't know.
People believe it.
This is the world. There are probably, a lot of people who do believe it. I don't, for 1 second, believe that this yogurt prevents COVID-19.
Yeah.
But that was also came out today. The police went and raided Namyang Dairy.
Now, what do you mean raid? What are they looking for if they're raiding the place? I love Korea's solution to things is to raid places.
It's basically just a search and seizure. So they send 30 investigators and they go in and it's like executing a search warrant is basically what's going on. So they usher the people out. Evidence to prove that they're lying. I don't know.
Evidence to prove that they're saying something that's unprovable. That's all you got to do. Is there's no such thing as a yogurt that cures COVID-19. You don't need to raid a place. It's just false advertising. Just give them a fine.
Yeah. So that investigation is currently underway.
Wow.
So stay tuned to find out.
Oh my gosh.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't actually prevent COVID-19.
Oh man.
But I bet their sales really jumped up.
Man.
I was just like, you can't be serious. And they're like, totally serious. This yogurt, totally serious.
Oh my God. I love this country. But I got a reason to not like the country so much. I did talk to this has been through the news quite a bit in the expat world, is the changes in F27 visa requirements, and that they say they can't own businesses, and they're actually, I hear that they're retroactively fining foreigners for owning businesses. I mean,
so like people who owned businesses before they put this in place, they have to now give up their business.
Yeah. Which is like one of my friends is leaving Korea because of that. Working
and
so hard.
And I wasn't happy with the changes they made to my visa.
Yeah, those are really bad. So I talked to someone today who's also on F27, and I was talking about the changes. Like, oh man, are you able to do it? He goes, yeah, I'm able to stick with it because I know someone higher up in immigration. And I said when I talked to him, this person higher in immigration, I said, why are all these changes? And they said, well, it's because of coronavirus. We had these foreigners come in and they made really good, successful businesses. But when coronavirus started, Korean businesses were struggling, so we had to get rid of the competition. That's why they did it. That's why they did
these
it.
changes, these changes went into effect before coronavirus.
Are you talking about not owning a business?
Or was that
the changes
come later?
The changes about not owning a business happened, I think, in December, and it just got announced.
Okay, yeah, because like the other changes that made it more difficult to get an F27 and keep it, all those changes happened the December before that.
Right.
That was
then
December
they
2.
retroactively they said foreigners can't own businesses on F27.
Okay, so that happened this past December. Okay, right, I see now.
Right.
I got really confused because I was like, wait, no, but I thought all of these, because I know all of these changes happened at what January, they went into effect January 1st, 2019.
We need the financial media to report this, how blatant blatant protectionism. And it's not like there's a dominant foreign business community here, especially in the F27s, enough to threaten Korean businesses. It go outside of Korea, and Koreans are able to own businesses in the US, Canada, Australia, all these other countries. And just imagine the uproar if America just suddenly said to Koreans, yeah, you got to give up your convenience store. You got to give up, Kim's Convenience. Even though they're naturalized Canadian citizens in that show. Nonetheless, yeah, you got to give up your business because it's competing with our local businesses, with our native-born businesses.
I'm pretty sure most of HBC is foreign owned.
Yeah, but they got to do this. Sean Lim has a really good video on this on was it Soulite on YouTube? Yeah,
Soulite is his YouTube channel.
He has a really good rant on this, better than I could ever state it. But it's
hopefully we can get him on as a guest and he can go into that more. I'm sure he says it a lot better than we can.
Yeah, but just hearing it from the horse's mouth that it was to get rid of the competition, blatantly to get rid of competition to protect Korean businesses. And Korea still wants to be the hub of all these things, the hub of finance, the hub of international business. You cannot, when you're doing stunts like this,
But if you're like a major foreign multinational company who wants to set up base in Korea, it's totally fine.
Well, they don't care. This is the other thing too in our conversation is like they will only listen to foreigners if it's like a chamber of commerce, because the Korean Yangban only want to impress the foreign Yangban. They don't care about anyone that they can't impress. A very hierarchy obsessed. Is they still, the 386 generation, this is where I'm going to go on a limb here and say something controversial. The 386 generation, which a lot of us would call maybe the baby boomers generation, extremely obsessed with status and with impressing white Westerners. And they only back a few weeks ago, we talked about the government suddenly requiring all foreigners to get coronavirus tests just for being foreign. And the only way Seoul stopped was when the equivalent of foreign Yangban, the chambers of commerce and the embassies, made a stink about it. But outside of Seoul, where the rich white people aren't, they still went ahead with it.
Right. They kept those in place.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any powerful foreigners there to step up and be like, nope.
There were no rich white people for the 3Xers to try to impress and kiss up to.
Nope. Yeah. We got it easy here in Seoul. Like, just let the Chamber of Commerce step up and do all the work.
Yeah. Yeah, just get
even though like
them upset.
everybody was complaining about it, but it didn't matter until those, powerful foreign organizations and companies stepped up and were like, yeah, not cool.
Until
like,
white businessmen come up to them and say, hey, excuse me, Mr. Korean, this is not right. There's no right here.
Yeah. Then they listened. They listened.
So anyway, yeah, F27. This sucks. I really want this news to get out.
I was unaware of this. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Korea Times, John Dunbar did an interview and did a piece about it, about how foreigners having to suddenly give up their businesses, and some of them possibly being fined for having businesses that were approved by the government. It's not like they were doing underground businesses. They were paying taxes.
No, because you have to register your business with the government.
With the tax office, yes.
And the tax office. So they were fully aware, and they were like, yep, this is cool. Go for it. And then now they're like, oh, no, we changed our mind.
No, one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. Yeah.
No. There's a pretty big disconnect between the tax service and immigration.
There's a disconnect between all Korean government organizations. None of them know what's going on. I mean, come on. For all you teachers out there, you have to deal with the education board and immigration separately about the same darn stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because nobody knows what everybody else is doing.
No one communicates with each other. Everyone has to be in their own silos.
For sure.
and there were no rich foreigners that were having large inheritances, weren't there? How'd you like that?
No, there weren't. This was massive news this week. Like, this came out yesterday.
This is massive news in the Korean news sphere.
Yeah. I think anything about the Samsung family is just automatically going to be a top news story in Korea. And
that's why I was seeing He's ugly, evil mug all over the place.
Yeah, he made a comeback. He made a comeback from the dead.
Gosh, he made Emperor Palpatine look young and healthy. And I'm talking about Return of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker era Palpatine.
Yeah. Anyway, so they finalized the inheritance tax, because it took them a few months to figure out how much his kids were going to have to pay in inheritance tax, and it's 12 trillion won.
His kids aren't really paying it. That's just the tax that's being paid when it's being passed over.
Right. So it's not like they're not losing anything. It's just like I don't know. They might
it's supposed to be getting taken out, or I'm guessing it's 40%. I looked at the numbers. Was it like 40% of the inheritance?
Oh, it's over half. Because his worth, his assets were estimated at 20 trillion.
Okay,
and they have to pay 12. It's over half. Over 50%.
I thought it was 30 trillion, and it was 12. 12. Okay.
No, it's 20 trillion, and they're paying 12. So it's
okay. That's over half. Yeah.
And they're gonna make the payments. They're doing like 6 installments, and so they paid the first installment today. Yes. Because Samsung
it's like going to eMart Traders, and they ask you, can you pay for all these groceries at once? No, I'm going to do it in 6-month installments.
Because the Samsung family needs to pay for stuff in installments, or I don't know. Like, I've never
have enough time to squirrel that money away and say, "Oh, we don't have it." I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they actually donated, because Ethan, he had this massive art collection. Yeah. I did not realize just how massive this was, but they didn't even donate all of it. They donated a portion of it, 23,000 works of art.
Art is a great investment. Let me tell you, all you 20-somethings listening to us, invest in art.
Mm-hmm. Like Monet's, Picasso's. I didn't even know like in private people could own Picassos and Monets. I thought they were all in.
You thought they were all in museums, huh? All
museums. I thought they were all in museums. Yeah, like the running joke yesterday was like, where do you keep all of this? And we were like, maybe that, like, oh, go get something from the closet. And like, okay, let me just like push this Picasso out of the way. Oh, found the broom. Like, where do you keep all of this stuff? And obviously, the Samsung family does own like 2 or 3 art museums. So apparently that's where it all went. Yeah. It was in the museum.
Yeah, the Liam Museum, and there are a bunch of other ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but they're donated, and then they also donated something like 700 billion. I want to say billion won.
Yeah.
To help set up like specialized COVID hospitals and pediatric cancer hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And like the big.
So they're trying to do that as a deduction on this inheritance tax.
Right. Yeah. So if they like donate a bunch of these assets and money, then the inheritance tax wasn't going to be as much.
Let me pause for our Republican friends listening to us. This is what's colloquially known as the death tax. It's,
the death tax.
Something that was talked about by Thomas Jefferson and such, saying they did not want another lines of aristocrats and royalty, so that they instituted trying to have a high inheritance tax, so you would not have lines and lines of royalty over the generations like they do in Europe. So anyway, that's why inheritance taxes were instituted.
This, I think they were saying it's the largest amount in Korea, and it's actually unheard of around the world for there to be, because it's essentially like, so 12 trillion won is somewhere in the woods of like, what, like 10
billion,
to
$10 million.
It's 10 billion.
Yeah.
It's about 10 to 11 billion dollars.
Which is, I mean, that's what Bill Gates keeps next to his front door, in his key tray.
Mm-hmm. Probably. Either way, I have a hard time wrapping my head around like $500,000.
Isn't that how much Disney paid for Lucasfilm? 10 billion?
Probably. 10 billion?
Something like that.
I have no idea. Yeah, like these are amounts of money that my little kind of like lower to middle class brain just can't comprehend.
We'll never see that, no matter how many Patreon subscribers we get. We'll never see that.
We'll never.
But if you want to help us reach that goal,
if you want to help us become billionaires,
support the show, and you get extra stuff.
And yes, you do get extra stuff. It'll be worth your while. You get access
to all of our shows going back to 2008. And if we get enough subscribers, then we'll have more stuff. But starting at $5 a month, support the show.
We definitely will not be billionaires or millionaires.
I have no desire. I really don't have much of a desire to.
I don't want that much money.
If I had that much money, I would find ways to do works with it. I mean, I'd be like Bill Gates and Melinda.
I feel like I would give a lot of it away because it would be physically impossible for me to spend that much money on me.
I would need someone like a Melinda Gates to keep me under control. Otherwise, I'd be like Steve Martin in The Jerk. Anyone that walks in, I was like, hey, here's
take it. Yeah, I would definitely set up my family and friends. And
but then you have tons left over after that.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, let's like start a bunch of scholarship
and there are only so many Carnival cruises my mother can go on. My mother loves Carnival cruises, and then my sister's trips to Disney World.
Oh, I have like my cousins are having kids now, so I could pay for all of their kids' college.
Yeah,
that's
half of your money. Okay,
that's half. Yeah, probably be half of it with the way college rates are growing.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. The scholarship of Aunt Emma.
Yeah, if I had that, just thinking, if I had that, I have no. See, that's the thing is, I don't compare myself to others as far as wealth. I have no need to impress people with my wealth. I don't feel like, I need to have a bigger yacht than that guy or anything like that. No, my wife is another case though. My wife is always comparing us to other people, but I really don't care. I just have certain goals I want in life. I want to travel the world. I want to visit every Disneyland in existence.
No, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. With my daughter,
We
of
could
course. Yeah. I'm such a Disney parks freak and go to as many theme parks as possible. And yeah. And finished Anthony Bourdain's work of traveling around the world and eating food and making snarky comments while doing it.
Yeah, that sounds like those are goals. Those are goals.
That's goals. That's goals. That's goals we should all have. And we should all remember that. I mean, we are, as much as we complain about living in Korea, we should really, we're privileged. I think we are very privileged.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, so some things are difficult, yes, but I mean, the way I look at it, it's a hell of a lot easier to get a Korean visa than it is for people to get American visas.
That and just the fact that we've left our hometowns. We've moved more than 70 miles away from our hometowns.
Right. Not a lot of people get to do that.
We're experiencing different cultures. We're opening our horizons more. And we're challenging our brains. We're staving off the Alzheimer's. This is the other thing. We're staving off the Alzheimer's because every day is a mental challenge. It keeps our brains loose and unless you never live at Taiwan Island, then you're just ossified by doing the same things all the time.
But and like, the fact that we, it's not so easy. Even just like coming to Korea as an English teacher, it's easy, but it's not easy for everyone.
No,
you still got
it's a challenge.
You still need to have. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. You still have to have money. The fact that we're also within like the expat community, we have a little bit more privilege because we had skills that we could put to use to get out of teaching English.
Yeah,
and not everybody can do that either. So.
Yeah. Well,
we gotta keep ourselves in check, Joe.
Stability to do it. Yeah. Yeah. If I was still teaching on an E2 visa, it's very difficult to get out of it. But I got friends who are really working hard to get out of it, and it's easier to get out of that if you're willing to do it. It's easier to do it than
if you're willing to put in the work.
It's more possible. How about not easier, but it's more possible. There are more opportunities.
Right. It is more possible nowadays. And and some people don't want to do that. Some people are really happy.
I like those people.
I love those people. They're really great.
I just feel sad for the people who hate teaching English and are stuck teaching English and don't know how to do it.
And that's like the only thing that they can do. And like, and even me, like, I've spent a very long time working in the media industry in Korea, which I'm very, I feel very grateful for. And I can leave, if I'm like, hey, I'm not cool with these conditions anymore, or I've done all that I can do, and I can still go back to America and, and it's not going to be, there are definitely going to be months where it feels like a massive ordeal, but it's not going to be like a huge thing. And there are a lot of people who move to other countries and things aren't going well and they have no options. So I still have lots of options. I could go to another country altogether, possibly.
Yay. But I'm really, really thankful for our lives here. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up. Just to remind you, you can find us, tell them all of our where you can find us if you haven't found us there already. Our website is SeoulPodcast.com. You can also find us on Twitter at King Sejong, who is our announcer for the show. Found us on Facebook at Facebook.com/SeoulPodcast and on YouTube, currently still at YouTube.com/ZenKimchi. Again, remind you that we do try to stream the show live, currently on Friday evenings between 7:30 and 8 starting, and you can join us in the chat room. We'll just have a good chat on the air. It'll be fun. We had Sean was with us tonight. I think we need to have like more
cabin in the wood.
We need more famous singers and such to get more
people to watch us live. Yeah, we'll get. I'll work on that. I'll see who I can get.
Yeah, and just
not that I'm friends with a bunch of famous people, but I just know people.
Strike up conversations with us. That's fine. That's fine.
I know people who know people. That's a better way to put it. I know people who know people. So
says the woman who hung out with Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah, that was
drinking with him.
That was pure. That was pure coincidence. Pure acts. I lucked into that. I literally walked into it. I had nothing to do with that. I just happened to walk into the bar where he was drinking.
You're my hero.
And then his friend happened to speak to me.
That's so awesome. Because you're amazing. You're amazing, Emma. You're amazing. All right, everyone. Thank you for putting up with us. Until next time. Be safe out there. Say goodbye, Emma.
Bye. Sorry, I forgot. Bye. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
The SeoulPodcast is a production of Zen Kimchi International, copyright 2021, under the Creative Commons license. Parts of this podcast may be used for non-commercial purposes if you remember to give us credit. You can contact us at sejong@seoulpodcast.com. That's SEJONG@seoulpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter @King Sejong and on Facebook at facebook.com/SeoulPodcast. For a transcript of this episode, listen to it again and write down what you hear. See you next week. Until then, may your sidewalks always be free of heavy truck traffic.